Welcome to a journey through the most remote and astonishing corners of our planet. Get ready to discover places that defy imagination, where reality surpasses fiction. These aren't movie sets or fantasy worlds, they are real places where people live their daily lives. Embark on this adventure and uncover the unbelievable. Imagine waking up every morning in an underground city where the sun never directly touches your skin. Sounds like science fiction? Well, for the inhabitants of Coober Pedy in Australia, this is everyday life. This unique town, known as the opal capital of the world, is home to about 1,800 people who have chosen to live below the surface to escape the scorching heat of the Australian desert. Temperatures on the surface can reach 50 degrees Celsius during the day, but deep underground, homes maintain a constant and comfortable temperature of 23 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. Churches, hotels, bars, and even a golf course all exist underground. The residents dig their own homes, expanding them as needed. Do they miss the sunlight? Or have they developed superior night vision? Leaving the underground, let's now ascend very high. At the top of the world, in the Himalayan mountains, we find La Rinconada in Peru. At 5,100 meters above sea level, this is the highest permanently inhabited city on the planet. With a fluctuating population of 30,000 to 50,000 people, La Rinconada challenges all notions of habitability. The air is so thin that visitors often suffer from altitude sickness. But the local residents have developed unique physiological adaptations. Their bodies produce more red blood cells, allowing them to absorb more oxygen from the thin air. But at what cost? Scientists are still studying the long-term effects of this extreme adaptation. The city has no running water or sewage system. Garbage accumulates on the frozen streets. So why do people live here? The answer lies buried in the mountains: gold. La Rinconada is a mining town where workers risk their lives daily in the mines, often working under a system called cachorio, where they work for 30 days without pay in exchange for the right to take home whatever they can carry on the 31st day. It's a deadly gamble in the heights of the sky. Descending from the dizzying heights, we find a place where water, not land, is home. On Lake Titicaca, on the border between Peru and Bolivia, the floating islands of the Uros challenge the very definition of land. These artificial islands, made from layers of totora reeds, are home to about 1,200 people. The Uros began building these islands over 500 years ago to escape enemies on the mainland. Today, they maintain this unique tradition, constantly rebuilding their homes and the very ground beneath their feet. The islands are anchored to the lake bed, but can be moved if necessary. Imagine having to rebuild your house and street every few months. Life here is a constant struggle against the elements. The islands can rot, absorb water, and sink if not constantly maintained. The Uros live primarily from fishing and tourism, but they face growing challenges from climate change and pollution of the lake. Will this unique way of life survive the test of time? Now, prepare for a drastic change of scenery. In the heart of the Sahara Desert in Mauritania, we find Chinguetti, a city that seems to be swallowed by the sands of time. Founded in the 13th century, Chinguetti was once a prosperous center of trade and Islamic learning. Today, with only about 4,000 inhabitants, it struggles against the relentless advance of the desert. The sand dunes literally invade the city, burying houses and streets. The residents wage a daily battle to keep their homes free from the encroaching sand. But most fascinating is that Chinguetti houses some of the oldest and most valuable libraries in the Islamic world. Manuscripts over 700 years old are carefully preserved in extreme desert conditions. How have these literary treasures survived for so long in such a hostile environment? And how much longer will the city resist the desert's advance? Every grain of sand seems to mark the passage of time for this ancient city. Jumping to the other side of the globe, we find a place where fire, not sand, is the constant challenge. Centralia, Pennsylvania, USA, is a ghost town with a burning secret beneath its feet. A coal mine fire, ignited in 1962, continues to burn today, more than 60 years later. The underground fire has created an apocalyptic landscape. Cracks in the ground emit toxic smoke, asphalt melts on hot days, and trees die from the heat and poisonous gases. The town, once home to over 1,000 residents, now has only 5 stubborn inhabitants who refuse to leave. These few residents live in a town where most houses have been demolished, streets lead nowhere, and the danger of ground collapse is constant. Why do they stay? What keeps them tied to this condemned land? And how much longer will the fire continue to burn? Traveling to the far north, we find Longyearbyen on the island of Svalbard, Norway. This is the world's northernmost town, located just 1,300 kilometers from the North Pole. With about 1,000 inhabitants, Longyearbyen challenges conventional notions of habitability. Here, the sun doesn't set for 4 months in the summer and doesn't rise for 4 months in the winter. Residents face total darkness for a third of the year. How does this affect their sleep cycles, their moods, their mental health? But the challenges don't stop there. It is illegal to die in Longyearbyen. Yes, you heard that right. Due to the permafrost, bodies do not decompose and can preserve ancient diseases. The few cemeteries in the town no longer accept burials. If someone is near death, they must be transported to the mainland. And there's more. It is mandatory to carry a gun when leaving town due to the danger of polar bear attacks. Houses are built on stilts to prevent melting the permafrost. The town has more snowmobiles than people. It's a place where the normal rules of civilization are rewritten to adapt to an extreme environment. Leaving the extreme cold, let's move to a place where the challenge is vertical. Hong Kong is known for its skyscrapers, but few know about the city's coffin homes. These tiny apartments, some as small as 1.5 square meters, house tens of thousands of people. Imagine living in a space smaller than a parking spot. Cooking, sleeping, studying, all in a cubicle where you can barely stand. These apartments are often illegally subdivided, creating dangerous and unsanitary living conditions. Yet, for many, this is the only affordable option in one of the world's most expensive cities. How do people maintain their sanity in such tight spaces? How do families grow and thrive in these conditions? It's a testament to human resilience and a grim reminder of the global housing crisis. Now, prepare for something completely different. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, thousands of kilometers from any continent, we find the Phoenix Islands. This remote archipelago, part of the Republic of Kiribati, is one of the most isolated places on Earth. With a total population of just 24 people in 2015, spread across several islands, this is one of the least populated places on the planet. Most of the islands are uninhabited, except for Canton, which maintains a small population to assert Kiribati's sovereignty. Life here is a constant challenge. There is no natural freshwater. All drinking water comes from rain collection or desalination. Supplies arrive by boat every few months. There are no schools, hospitals, or shops. The internet is limited and expensive. So why would anyone choose to live here? For some, it's a government job. For others, it's the allure of a simplified life, far from the modern world. But with rising sea levels due to climate change, how much longer will these islands remain habitable? Returning to solid ground, but not quite, we find Neft Daslara, or oil rocks, in the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan. This unique town was built entirely on steel stilts in the middle of the sea, 55 kilometers from the nearest coast. Started in 1949 as an oil platform, Neft Daslara grew into a complete city at sea. At its peak, it had a population of 5,000 people. Today, it still houses about 1,000 workers who live in one-week shifts. The city has over 300 kilometers of streets, all built over water. There are apartments, a bakery, a school, even a park with trees planted in soil brought from the mainland. But the city is literally disintegrating. Many of the original structures are submerged, creating a surreal scene of half-sunken buildings and bridges leading nowhere. What's it like to live in a city where the sea is always just a few meters below your feet? How do residents cope with frequent storms? And what will be the fate of this unique city when the oil runs out? Our journey through the unbelievable comes to an end, but the mysteries of these places continue. Each of these locations challenges us to rethink what home means. They show us the incredible adaptability of humans, capable of creating communities in the most extreme and inhospitable environments on the planet. From the depths of the earth in Kuberpiti to the dizzying heights of La Rinconada, from the floating islands of the Uros to the encroaching sands of Chinguetti, from the eternal fire of Centralia to the polar darkness of Longyearbyen, from the tiny apartments of Hong Kong to the extreme isolation of the Phoenix Islands to the city at sea of Neft Daslara, each place tells a story of resilience, survival, and the relentless human spirit. What drives people to live in these places? Is it necessity, adventure, tradition, or something else entirely? How do they cope with challenges that would seem insurmountable to most of us? And what can we learn from their experiences? As we ponder these questions, one thing is clear: the world is far stranger and more amazing than we often realize. So, the next time you think about the most incredible places on Earth, remember that reality can be more fascinating than fiction. And you, dear viewer, which of these places sparked your curiosity the most? Can you imagine yourself living in any of them, facing the extreme conditions and unique challenges that make these locations so extraordinary? Perhaps the underground life in Coober Pedy, the extreme altitude of La Rinconada, or even the isolation of the Phoenix Islands. Each of these places holds secrets and challenges that turn everyday life into a true adventure. But what other incredible places do you know that deserve to be explored? Share your suggestions in the comments. We want to hear about the surprising and mysterious destinations you've come across. If this video piqued your interest in the most extraordinary corners of our planet and the remarkable people who call them home, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have a journey full of discoveries waiting for you. More incredible places, more surprising stories, and more wonders of the world around us. Each video is a new opportunity to travel without leaving your seat, to learn about cultures and ways of life that defy the imagination. So, subscribe now and hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any of our upcoming explorations. We're just getting started, and the adventures ahead promise to be even more fascinating. Together, we'll continue to uncover the mysteries and wonders of our incredible planet. Until the next adventure.